Jake Morrison woke up at 6:30 every morning. He had done this for 3 years now. His job studying sea animals started early, and he liked the quiet morning hours. The small town of Cedar Bay was peaceful then. Most people were still sleeping. Jake lived in a small house near the ocean. The house was old but comfortable. It had a front porch with 2 chairs and a small table. Jake liked to drink his coffee there and watch the sunrise over the water. On Tuesday morning, Jake opened his front door to get the newspaper. That was when he saw her for the first time. A woman sat on his porch steps. She was not moving. Her back was straight, and her hands rested on her knees. She wore simple clothes, dark pants and a light blue shirt. Her hair was long and brown, tied back neatly. Jake stopped in the doorway. He had never seen this woman before. She did not turn around when he opened the door. She did not seem to notice him at all. "Excuse me," Jake said. His voice sounded loud in the quiet morning. "Can I help you?" The woman did not answer. She did not move. Jake walked around to see her face. Her eyes were closed. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping while sitting up. Jake felt confused. Who was this woman? Why was she on his porch? Was she sick? Was she in trouble? "Miss," Jake said again. "Are you okay?" Still no answer. Jake looked at his watch. It was 6:47 in the morning. He had to leave for work soon, but he could not just leave a stranger on his porch. Jake went back inside and called his neighbor Pete Collins. Pete lived in the house next door. He was a good friend and always helped when Jake needed something. "Pete, there's a woman sitting on my porch," Jake said when Pete answered the phone. "I don't know who she is. She won't talk to me." "What does she look like?" Pete asked. "Young, maybe 30 years old. Brown hair. She's just sitting there with her eyes closed. Maybe she's homeless," Pete said. "Or maybe she's on drugs. You should call the police." Jake looked out his window at the woman. She still had not moved. Something about her seemed different, but Jake could not say what it was. "I'll wait a little longer," Jake told Pete. "Maybe she'll wake up and leave on her own." Jake made his coffee and watched the woman through his kitchen window. She sat very still. Too still, Jake thought. Real people moved a little bit, even when they were trying to be still. They shifted their weight or moved their hands. This woman was like a statue. At 7:47, exactly 1 hour after Jake first saw her, something strange happened. Jake looked away for just a moment to pour more coffee. When he looked back, the woman was gone. Jake ran outside. He looked up and down the street. There was no sign of her anywhere. She could not have walked away that fast. Jake had only looked away for a few seconds. "That's impossible," Jake said to himself. At work, Jake could not stop thinking about the woman. He worked at the Marine Research Center studying sea otters and seals. Usually he loved his job. The animals were interesting and he felt like his work helped protect them. But today, he kept thinking about the strange woman. His friend and co-worker Amy Rodriguez noticed that Jake seemed distracted. "You look tired," Amy said. "Did you sleep okay?" Jake told Amy about the woman on his porch. Amy listened, but Jake could see she did not really believe him. "Maybe you were still half asleep," Amy said. "Sometimes we think we see things when we're not fully awake." Jake knew he had been fully awake, but he did not argue with Amy. The next morning, Jake woke up at his usual time. He made his coffee and went to get the newspaper. The woman was there again. She sat in the exact same place, in the exact same position. She wore different clothes, a green shirt and black pants, but everything else was the same. Her back was straight, her hands were on her knees, and her eyes were closed. Jake checked his watch. 6:47 in the morning, the same time as yesterday. This time, Jake did not try to talk to her. He just watched. The woman breathed slowly and steadily. She looked calm and peaceful. Jake found himself feeling calm too, just watching her. At exactly 7:47, Jake looked down at his newspaper for a moment. When he looked up, she was gone again. This happened every day for a week. The woman appeared at 6:47 and disappeared at 7:47. She never moved during that hour. She never opened her eyes. She never spoke. Jake started to expect her. He would wake up and think, I wonder if she'll be there today. She always was. Pete came over one morning to see for himself. Jake pointed to the porch steps. Right there, Jake said. She's sitting right there. Pete looked where Jake was pointing. I don't see anyone, buddy. Jake looked again. The woman was definitely there. She was wearing a white shirt today. Her hair was braided instead of tied back. She's right there, Jake said again. Brown hair, white shirt. Pete looked worried. Jake, there's nobody there. Maybe you should see a doctor. After Pete left, Jake wondered if he was going crazy, but the woman looked so real. She was right there in front of him. Jake decided to take a picture. He got his phone and pointed it at the woman. But when he looked at the photo, it only showed his empty porch steps. He tried again the next day. Same thing. The woman was there. When he looked with his eyes, but the camera saw nothing, Jake set up a video camera on his living room window. The next morning, he checked the video. It showed his porch steps from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. The steps were empty, the whole time, but Jake knew what he saw. The woman was real. She was there every morning, sitting peacefully on his porch. Jake's other neighbors started to worry about him. Mrs. Betty Walsh, who lived across the street, brought him soup and asked if he was feeling sick. Danny Parker from down the block offered to help with yard work, thinking Jake might be stressed. I'm fine, Jake told them. Really, I'm fine. But Jake was not sure if that was true. How could he see someone that cameras could not see? How could he see someone that other people could not see? 3 weeks passed. Every morning, the woman appeared. Every morning, she sat for exactly 1 hour. Every morning, she disappeared when Jake was not looking directly at her. Jake started to feel protective of her. He did not know who she was or why she came to his porch, but she seemed harmless. She seemed peaceful. In a strange way, Jake looked forward to seeing her each morning. Jake started leaving a cup of coffee on the porch table, just in case she wanted it. The coffee was never touched, but Jake kept doing it anyway. He began to think of her as his morning visitor, his quiet companion. Even though she never spoke or looked at him, Jake felt less lonely when she was there. Jake had no idea that his small act of kindness, leaving coffee for a stranger, was being noticed. He had no idea that this woman was not quite what she seemed, and he had no idea that everything was about to change. The storm came on a Thursday night. Jake woke up to the sound of rain hitting his windows hard. Wind shook the house and made the trees bend and sway. Lightning lit up the dark sky every few seconds. Jake looked at his clock. It was 5:30 in the morning. The storm was getting worse, not better. He got up and looked out his bedroom window. The rain was coming down so hard he could barely see across the street. Jake made his coffee and wondered if his morning visitor would come today. The weather was terrible. No normal person would sit outside in this storm. At 6:47, Jake opened his front door. The wind almost pushed him back inside. Rain blew onto his face and soaked his shirt in seconds. But she was there. The woman sat on his porch steps in exactly the same position as always. But this time, she was completely soaked. Her clothes were stuck to her body. Her hair hung in wet strings around her face. Water dripped from her hands and nose. For the first time in 3 weeks, the woman looked different. She looked smaller somehow. She was shaking from the cold. Her shoulders were hunched forward instead of straight. Jake stared at her. She looked so cold and miserable. She looked like she needed help. Jake had watched many movies about aliens and monsters. In those movies, people who helped strangers always got into trouble. The smart thing to do was close the door and call the police, but Jake could not do that. The woman looked so helpless sitting there in the rain. She was shivering and wet and alone. Every part of Jake's mind that cared about other people told him to help her. Hey, Jake said loudly, trying to talk over the wind. You're going to get sick out there. The woman did not move. But for the first time, Jake thought he saw her breathing change a little bit. This is crazy, Jake said, mostly to himself. You can't just sit in this storm. Jake went back inside and got a big towel. He came back to the door and held it out toward the woman. "Here," he said. "At least take this towel." The woman still did not move, but Jake could see her shaking harder now. Her lips looked blue from the cold. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He stepped out onto the porch, getting soaked by the rain. He walked over to the woman and gently put the towel around her shoulders. The woman felt real. She felt solid and warm under the cold, wet clothes. Jake could feel her shaking. "Look," Jake said, kneeling down so he could see her face. "I don't know who you are or why you're here, but you're going to freeze to death if you stay out here." Slowly, very slowly, the woman opened her eyes. Jake almost fell backward. Her eyes were not normal human eyes. They were deep purple like the color of the sky just before night, and there were little silver spots in them that seemed to move and sparkle. The woman looked at Jake for a long moment. Her strange eyes seemed to see everything about him. Jake felt like she was looking into his mind and heart. "Would you like to come inside?" Jake asked. His voice was quiet now. He was not sure why he asked. He was not sure if it was safe, but something about her made him want to help. The woman tilted her head slightly like she was thinking about his question. Then very slowly, she nodded. Jake helped her stand up. She moved carefully like she was not used to walking. Jake kept the towel around her shoulders and guided her to his front door. Inside the house, Jake turned on more lights. The woman stood in his living room, still dripping water on the floor. She looked around at everything, his couch, his books, his pictures on the walls. She seemed very interested in normal, everyday things. "Let me get you some dry clothes," Jake said. "I think I have some things that might fit you." Jake went to his bedroom and found clothes that used to belong to his ex-girlfriend, Lisa. Lisa had left some shirts and pants when she moved out 6 months ago. Jake had kept them in case she came back for them. When Jake returned to the living room, the woman was still standing in the same spot. She had not moved at all. "Here," Jake said, holding out the dry clothes. "These should fit. The bathroom is right down the hall if you want to change." The woman took the clothes and held them carefully, like they were very valuable. She looked at Jake again with those strange purple eyes. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was unlike anything Jake had ever heard. It sounded like wind chimes moving in a gentle breeze. It was soft and musical, but definitely human words. The woman went to the bathroom to change clothes. Jake cleaned up the water on the floor and made breakfast for 2 people. He was not sure if the woman would eat human food, but he wanted to. Try to be a good host. When the woman came back, she was wearing Lisa's blue shirt and jeans. The clothes fit her perfectly. Her hair was still damp, but she looked much better. "Please sit down," Jake said, pointing to his kitchen table. "Are you hungry?" The woman sat down very carefully. She looked at the food Jake had made: eggs, toast, and orange juice. She seemed curious about everything. Jake sat down across from her and started eating. He did not want to stare, but he could not help looking at her. Now that she was inside and dry, he could see more details about her. Her skin was very pale and smooth. Her fingers were a little longer than normal human fingers. She moved in a way that seemed too graceful, like she was floating instead of walking. "My name is Jake," he said, trying to start a conversation. "What's your name?" The woman looked at him for a moment. "My name is difficult for your people to say," she said in her musical voice. "You may call me what you wish." "I've been thinking of you as my morning visitor," Jake said, "but that's not really a name. How about Dawn, since you always come in the morning?" The woman smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her smile. It made her whole face look different and somehow more human. "Dawn," she repeated. "Yes, I like that name." Jake had so many questions he wanted to ask. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why did she sit on his porch every morning? Why could only he see her? But Jake decided to start with normal conversation. He talked about the storm and the weather. He told her about his job studying sea animals. He explained how he worried about the ocean getting dirty and the animals getting hurt. Dawn listened to everything very carefully. She seemed most interested when Jake talked about helping the sea animals. "You care about creatures that are not your own kind," Dawn said. It sounded like a question and a statement at the same time. Well, yes, Jake said. I think all animals deserve to live safely. Humans have made a lot of problems for them. I try to help fix those problems. Dawn nodded, slowly. This is interesting to me, she said. Jake wanted to ask what she meant, but Dawn started eating. She ate very slowly and carefully, like she was learning how to do it. She seemed surprised by the taste of everything. Is the food okay? Jake asked. It is very good, Dawn said. Your people make food that tastes emotional. Jake was not sure what that meant, but Dawn seemed to enjoy eating. After breakfast, Dawn helped Jake clean the dishes. She watched everything Jake did and copied his movements. When they were done, she sat on Jake's couch and looked around the room again. You live alone, Dawn said. It was not a question. Yes, Jake said. My girlfriend moved out a few months ago. She said I cared more about sea otters than about her. Jake laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Maybe she was right. Why did you invite me inside? Dawn asked. Jake thought about the question. You looked cold and scared. I couldn't just leave you outside in the storm. Even though you do not know me? Even though I might be dangerous? Jake looked at Dawn sitting on his couch in Lisa's clothes. She did not look dangerous. She looked curious and maybe a little sad. I guess I don't think you're dangerous, Jake said. You've been sitting on my porch for 3 weeks. If you wanted to hurt me, you probably would have done it already. Dawn smiled again. Your species is very interesting, she said quietly. My species? Jake asked. What do you mean? Dawn looked at Jake for a long time. Jake could see her thinking about something important. I mean humans, she said finally. Your people. You do things that my people would not do. What kind of things? You help strangers. You care about animals that cannot help you back. You invite unknown beings into your home because they look cold. Jake felt confused. Dawn was talking like she was not human, but she looked human except for her eyes and the way she moved. Are you human? Jake asked. Dawn was quiet for a moment. Then she shook her head. No, she said. I am not human, but I am learning about humans. I am learning about you, Jake Morrison. Jake felt his heart beat faster. He should have been scared. He should have called the police or run away. But he was not scared. He was excited. What are you? He asked. That is a long story, Dawn said, and I am not sure you are ready to hear it. Jake looked at this being who called herself Dawn. She had been watching him for weeks. She had come to him for help. And now she was sitting in his living room, trusting him with the truth. I think I'm ready, Jake said. I've been seeing you every morning for 3 weeks. I've been wondering who you are and where you come from. I think I can handle the truth. Dawn looked out the window. The storm was getting weaker, but it was still raining. Very well, she said. But first I must ask you something. After I tell you the truth, your life will never be the same. Are you sure you want to know? Jake thought about his quiet life, his job, his empty house, his simple routine. He thought about how lonely he had been since Lisa left. He thought about how much more interesting his life had been. Dawn sat quietly for a long time before she spoke. Jake waited, his heart beating fast. He was about to learn something that would change everything he thought he knew about the world. I come from very far away, Dawn said finally. From a place you cannot see even with your best telescopes. My people are called the Villari. We have been traveling between stars for thousands of your years. Jake tried to stay calm, but his hands were shaking a little. You're an alien, he said. It was not a question. Yes, Dawn said. That is what you would call me. But we prefer to think of ourselves as neighbors. We have many neighbors across the galaxy. How long have you been on Earth? Jake asked. My people have been watching Earth for a very long time. But I came here only a few months ago. I was sent to study your species. Jake felt excited and scared at the same time. Why? What do you want to know about humans? Dawn looked out the window at the rain. My people are dying, she said quietly. Not from disease or war. We are dying from something worse. What's Worse than disease or war? We are losing ourselves, Dawn said. For thousands of years, my people have been getting smarter and more connected to each other. We can share thoughts and feelings without speaking. We have technology that can do almost anything. But something important has been disappearing. Jake leaned forward in his chair. What's been disappearing? It is hard to explain in your language, Dawn said. In my language, we call it the inner fire. You might call it soul or spirit or individual personality. We have become so connected that we are all becoming the same person. We think the same thoughts. We feel the same feelings. We are losing the ability to be different from each other. That sounds terrible, Jake said. It is terrible, Dawn agreed. 1,000 years ago, my people were artists and poets and explorers. We made beautiful music and told amazing stories. We fell in love and had dreams and made mistakes. Now we just exist. We solve problems and gather information, but we do not really live. Jake tried to understand what Dawn was telling him. But you seem different. You seem like an individual person. I am different, Dawn said. That is why I was chosen for this mission. I am one of the few Valari who still has some inner fire left. But even I am not like I used to be. Before I came to Earth, I had not felt curiosity for many years. I had not felt wonder or surprise or joy. And now? Jake asked. Dawn smiled. Now I feel many things. Sitting on your porch every morning, watching you, I began to feel curious about you. When you left coffee for me, I felt touched. When you invited me inside, I felt grateful. These are feelings I had almost forgotten. Jake felt proud that he had helped Dawn feel these things, but he was still confused about many things. Why, me? Jake asked. Why did you choose to watch me? We studied your television and radio signals for many years, Dawn said. We learned your languages and tried to understand your culture. But we found something in these signals that confused us. Humans do things that make no sense to us. What kind of things? You help people you do not know. You care about animals. That cannot help you. You create art that serves no practical purpose. You risk your lives to save strangers. You fall in love with people who are wrong for you. You hope for things that will probably never happen. Jake laughed. Those things do sound pretty crazy when you put it that way. To my people, they are not just crazy. They are impossible. We could not understand how any intelligent species could act this way. Some of my people think humans are mentally ill. Others think you are lying about your feelings and just pretending to care about others. But you don't think that, Jake said. I was not sure, Dawn said. That is why I came to study you. You were chosen because your work shows many human qualities we do not understand. You spend your life studying and protecting sea animals. These animals will never thank you or help you. Most humans will never know about your work. Yet you do, it anyway. Jake had never thought about his work that way. I just think it's important, he said. Yes, Dawn said. That is exactly what we do not understand. You think things are important even when they do not benefit you. This is what we call the flame. The flame? It is what makes humans burn so brightly, Dawn said. It is your passion, your caring, your ability to love things outside yourselves. My people have been watching humans for decades, trying to understand this flame. We want to know if it is real and if it is, whether we can learn it. Jake felt amazed. You came all this way to learn how to care about things? Yes, Dawn said. But there is more. My people are divided about what to do about humans. Some want to learn from you. Others think you are dangerous. Dangerous? How are we dangerous? Dawn looked serious. Humans are spreading into space. You have satellites and space stations. You are planning missions to other planets. Some of my people think that when humans reach other worlds, you will bring war and destruction with you. And what do you think? Jake asked. I did not know what to think, Dawn said. That is why I watched you for so long. I wanted to see what humans are really like when they think no one is watching. And what did you see? Dawn smiled. I saw you worry about sea otters getting caught in fishing nets. I saw you rescue a cat that was stuck in a tree even though it scratched you. I saw you help your elderly neighbor Mrs. Walsh carry her groceries, even when you were late for work. I saw you leave coffee for a stranger who sat on your porch even though that stranger never thanked you. Jake felt embarrassed. Those are just normal things. No, Don said. They are not normal at all. They are extraordinary. They show that humans really do have the flame. You really do care about others even when it costs you something. Jake thought about everything Dawn had told him. So what happens now? Do you go back and tell your people that humans are good? Dawn looked worried. It is not that simple. I am just one observer. My people will want more proof, and there are others among my people who do not want to believe that humans can be good. They think any species with the flame is too unpredictable to be allowed to spread through the galaxy. What does that mean? Jake asked, though he was afraid he already knew. It means some of my people want to stop humans from ever leaving Earth. They want to make sure you never reach other worlds. Jake felt cold. Stop us how? Dawn was quiet for a moment. There are many ways to stop a young species from spreading. Some are gentler than others. Jake understood. Dawn's people could destroy humanity if they decided humans were too dangerous, and Dawn had been sent to help them make that decision. Are more of your people coming? Jake asked. Yes, Dawn said. A council will arrive soon to make the final decision about humanity. I was supposed to report my findings to them and then return home. Was supposed to? Dawn looked at Jake with her strange purple eyes. I was supposed to finish my mission and leave. But something unexpected happened. What happened? You invited me inside, Dawn said. You showed me kindness when you had no reason to. You shared your food and your home with someone you did not know. You listened to my story without running away in fear. You made me feel things I had forgotten. I could feel. Jake felt his heart speed up. What are you saying? I am saying that I do not want to leave, Dawn said. I want to stay here and learn more about being human. I want to help my people understand what I have learned, but I also want to keep feeling the way I feel when I am with you. Jake reached out and took Dawn's hand. Her skin was warm and soft, just like a human's hand. I don't want you to leave either, Jake said. I've been lonely for a long time. Since you started coming to my porch, I've felt, I don't know, like I had a purpose. Like someone was paying attention to my life. Dawn squeezed Jake's hand. Your people have a word for this feeling, don't they? Jake knew what she meant, but he was not sure if he should say it. They had only just met, really. But somehow it felt like he had known Dawn much longer than a few hours. Love, Jake said quietly. Yes, Dawn said. Love. It is a concept my people find very difficult to understand. But I think I am beginning to understand it now. They sat together quietly, holding hands and looking at each other. Outside, the storm was ending. Sunlight was starting to break through the clouds. Dawn, Jake said. When your people come, what will they want to know? They will want to know if humans truly have the flame, or if it is just an act. They will want to know if humans can be trusted with the power to travel between stars. They will want to know if Earth should be protected or controlled.
How will they decide? Dawn looked worried again. They will test humans. They will create situations to see how humans react. They will watch to see if humans really care about others, or if they only care about themselves when things get difficult. Jake
felt scared for all of humanity. What kind of tests? I do not know exactly. But they will want to see humans at their best and their worst. They will want to see what humans do when they have to choose between helping others and helping themselves. And if humans fail the tests? Dawn did not answer, but Jake could see the answer in her eyes. We have to make sure humans pass, Jake said. Yes, Dawn said. But Jake, there is something else you need to know. When my people arrive, they will know that I have been changed by my contact with humans. They will know that I have developed feelings for you. This could be seen as a failure of my mission. What would 3 days after Dawn told Jake the truth, everything changed. Jake woke up to the sound of helicopters flying over his house. He looked out his bedroom window and saw military trucks driving down his quiet street. Soldiers in green uniforms were setting up barriers at both ends of the block. Jake ran downstairs to find Dawn. She was standing at the living room window, looking up at the sky with worry in her purple eyes. "They're here," she said quietly. "Your people?" Jake asked. "Yes. The council has arrived. They are in ships above your atmosphere. Your military has detected them." Jake's phone started ringing. The caller ID showed his friend Pete's number. "Jake." Pete's voice was excited and scared. "Turn on the news. There are spaceships in the sky. Real spaceships." Jake turned on his television. Every news channel was showing the same thing. Large silver ships that looked like floating diamonds were hanging in the sky above major cities around the world. The ships were beautiful but strange, like nothing humans had ever built. A news reporter was talking fast, trying to explain what no one understood. The objects appeared at exactly 6:47 this morning, local time, in every time zone around the world. They are not responding to radio contact. Military forces worldwide are on high alert. Jake looked at Dawn. 6:47. That's when you always appeared on my porch. "Yes," Dawn said. "My people are very precise about time. They are announcing their presence, but they are not yet making contact." "What happens next?" Before Dawn could answer, there was a loud knock on Jake's front door. Jake opened it to find a woman in a dark blue suit standing on his porch. She had short blonde hair and serious gray eyes. Behind her were 2 soldiers with guns. "Mr. Morrison," the woman said. "My name is Colonel Kate Murphy. I'm with the Department of Defense. We need to speak with you immediately." Jake's heart started beating fast. "About what?" "About your unusual visitor," Colonel Murphy said, looking past Jake toward the living room. "We know she's here." Jake turned around. Dawn was still standing by the window, but now she looked different. Her human disguise was fading away. Her skin was starting to glow with a soft silver light. Her hair was becoming longer and more flowing. She looked like an angel, but an alien angel. "It's okay, Jake," Dawn said in her musical voice. "I knew this would happen. My people told your government that I was here." Colonel Murphy stepped into the house with her soldiers. When she saw Dawn, she stopped walking and stared. "My God," Colonel Murphy whispered. "You're really one of them." Dawn nodded politely. "I am. My name is Dawn. I've been studying your species." "Studying us for what purpose?" Colonel Murphy asked. Her voice was trying to sound tough, but Jake could hear fear in it. "To determine whether humans should be allowed to survive," Dawn said simply. Colonel Murphy's face went pale. "Survive? Are you threatening us?" "I am not threatening anyone," Dawn said. "But my people must decide whether humans are safe to exist alongside other intelligent species you are about to spread beyond your planet. This creates responsibilities." More vehicles arrived outside. Jake looked out the window and saw trucks full of equipment and scientists. His quiet street was becoming a military base. "Mr. Morrison," Colonel Murphy said, "you're going to need to come with us. You and your half-friend need to be debriefed immediately." "I'm not going anywhere," Jake said. "Dawn is my guest. If you want to talk to her, you can do it here." Colonel Murphy looked surprised. "Sir, this is a matter of national security. We have protocols." "Your protocols don't matter," Dawn interrupted. "I chose to reveal myself to Jake Morrison. I will speak to your leaders, but Jake must be present. He is my liaison to humanity." "Liaison?" Colonel Murphy asked. "Yes," Dawn said. "Jake represents the best of what your species can be. If you want my people to believe that humans deserve to survive, you should listen to what Jake has to say." Jake felt proud and terrified at the same time. He was being asked to speak for all of humanity, but he also felt honored that Dawn trusted him that much. Colonel Murphy spoke into a radio clipped to her shoulder. After a few minutes of quiet conversation, she turned back to Jake and Dawn. "My superiors want to meet with both of you," she said. "But we need to move this conversation to a secure location. No, Dawn said firmly. We will meet here in Jake's home. This is neutral ground. If your leaders want to speak with me, they can come here. Colonel Murphy looked frustrated, but she made more phone calls. Within an hour, Jake's small living room was full of important people. There was a general, 2 scientists, a diplomat, and several other officials Jake didn't recognize. Dawn sat on Jake's couch, glowing softly with silver light. She looked calm and beautiful and completely in control. Jake sat next to her, trying not to feel overwhelmed by all the powerful people staring at them. General Williams, a tall man with gray hair, spoke first. Miss Dawn, we need to understand your intentions. Are your people planning to attack Earth? We do not attack without reason, Dawn said. But we do not allow dangerous species to spread through the galaxy unchecked. And you think humans are dangerous? Dr. Sarah Martinez, one of the scientists, asked. Some of my people think so, Dawn said. Humans have a history of violence. You fight wars over resources and beliefs. You destroy your own environment. You create weapons that could kill every living thing on your planet. But some of your people don't think we're dangerous, Jake asked. Dawn looked at him with something like affection. Some of us think humans have something valuable that other species have lost. Something worth preserving. What's that? General, Williams asked. The flame, Dawn said. The ability to care about others more than yourselves. The ability to sacrifice for strangers. The ability to love. The diplomat, Ambassador Johnson, leaned forward. And how will your people decide which view is correct? They are already deciding, Dawn said. Right now my people are testing humans all over your world. They are creating situations to see how humans respond when faced with difficult choices. What kind of situations? Dr. Martinez asked. Dawn was quiet for a moment. Then she said, natural disasters, accidents, emergencies where people must choose between saving themselves or helping others. Jake felt scared. What if humans fail these tests? Then my people will take steps to ensure that humans never leave Earth, Dawn said. You will be contained here, for the safety of other species. Contained how? General Williams demanded. Dawn looked sad. There are many ways, some are kinder than others. The room was quiet for a long moment. Everyone was thinking about what Dawn had said. How long do we have? Ambassador Johnson asked. The testing has already begun, Dawn said. The results will be evaluated over the next few days. Then the council will make their decision. And there's nothing we can do to influence that decision? General Williams asked. Dawn looked at Jake. There is one thing. Jake has shown me that the flame is real. He has proven that humans can act with genuine kindness and compassion. If the council can see what I have seen, they might choose to give humanity a chance. What would they need? To see? Dr. Martinez asked. They would need to see humans at their best, Dawn said. They would need to see acts of pure kindness, with no expectation of reward. They would need to see humans helping others, even when it costs them something important. Jake had an idea. What if we showed them examples? What if we took them around town and showed them how people really act? Dawn smiled. That might work. But Jake, you must understand. If we do this, and if humans fail to impress the council, the consequences will be very serious. And if we don't do anything, then the decision will be made based only on the tests my people are conducting, and I am not sure those tests will show humanity in the best light. General Williams stood up. We need to discuss this with our superiors. Miss Dawn, would your people be willing to wait while we prepare a presentation? I will ask them, Dawn said. But they will not wait long. They are not a patient people when it comes to potential threats. After the officials left, Jake and Dawn were alone again. Jake felt exhausted. In one day, his life had gone from simple and quiet to the center of the most important event in human history. Dawn, Jake said, are you sure I'm the right person for this? I'm just a marine biologist. I'm not a diplomat or a leader or anyone important. Dawn took Jake's hand. That is exactly why you are the right person. You are not trying to impress anyone or gain anything for yourself. You are just being human, and that is what my people need to see. What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? Then you will mess up in a very human way, Dawn said, and maybe that will teach my people something important too. Jake looked out his window. The military was still there, but now there were also news trucks and crowds of people trying to see what was happening. His quiet street had become the most watched place on Earth. Dawn, Jake said, no matter what happens, I'm glad I invited you inside that morning. Why? Dawn asked. Because I learned something important too, Jake said. I learned that it's worth taking risks to help others. I learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is show kindness to someone who is different from you. Dawn leaned over and kissed Jake softly. That is the flame, she said. That is what my people need to learn. Outside, one of the silver ships was descending toward Earth. It moved silently through the sky, getting larger. The Valari Council arrived at dawn. Jake woke up to find 3 tall figures standing in his backyard. They wore suits that looked like they were made of liquid silver. Their faces were hidden behind masks that glowed with soft blue light. They moved without making any sound, like they were floating just above the ground. Dawn was already awake, standing by the kitchen window. Her silver glow was brighter now, and she looked more alien than she had since that first morning in the storm. The council has come, she said. Are you ready? Jake's hands were shaking as he made coffee. I don't think anyone could be ready for this. Colonel Murphy and her team were already outside, watching the alien visitors from a safe distance. Jake could see news helicopters circling overhead, though the government had pushed reporters and crowds several blocks away. One of the Valari Council members came to Jake's back door. When Jake opened it, the being spoke in a voice that sounded like 3 people talking at the same time. Jake Morrison, the being said. I am Council Member Zenth. We wish to speak with you. Jake invited them inside. Just like he had invited Dawn a few days earlier, the 3 Valari moved through his house like ghosts, studying everything with intense interest. You are the human who changed our scout, another council member said. This one called herself Yila. We are here to understand how this happened. Dawn stood next to Jake, translating when the council members spoke in their own language. Jake could feel the tension in the room. These beings were deciding whether humanity lived or died. I didn't try to change her, Jake said. I just treated her like I would treat any person who needed help. Yes, said the 3rd council member, Corin. This is what confuses us. You helped a stranger without knowing who she was or what she could do for you. This behavior makes no logical sense. It doesn't have to make logical sense, Jake said. Sometimes you help people just because it's the right thing to do. The council members looked at each other. Jake could not see their faces behind their masks, but he could feel them communicating somehow. We have been testing your species, Zenth said. We have created emergencies around your world to see how humans respond. What kind of emergencies, Jake asked, though he was afraid to know. Earthquakes, floods, building collapses, situations where people must choose between their own safety and helping others. Jake felt angry. You've been hurting people just to test us? No permanent harm was done, Yila said, but we needed to see how humans act when they believe the danger is real. And what did you find? Jake asked. Corin spoke slowly. We found results that do not match our predictions. In every test, some humans ran away to save themselves, but others stayed to help. Some humans risked their lives to save complete strangers. Some even died trying to help others escape. That surprises you? Jake asked. Yes, Zenth said. It goes against every logical survival instinct. These humans gained nothing by helping others. They only put themselves in danger. Dawn stepped forward. This is what I tried to tell you. Humans have something we have lost. They have the flame. One human's behavior could be an anomaly, Yila said, looking at Jake. But we have observed this pattern thousands of times across your planet. It appears to be a consistent trait of your species. Jake felt a little bit of hope. So you've seen that humans can be good? We have seen that humans can be illogical, Corin said. Whether this is good or bad is still being debated. Zenth turned to Dawn. Scout, you were supposed to observe without interfering. You were supposed to remain objective. Instead, you have developed what humans call emotions. You have become attached to this human. This compromises your mission. Dawn's glow became brighter. Yes, I have developed emotions, and that is exactly what my mission was supposed to discover. I learned that the flame is real by experiencing it myself. This is unacceptable, Yila said. You have been contaminated by human influence. Your judgment can no longer be trusted. Jake stepped between Dawn and the council members. Her judgment is the only thing that can save both our species. Dawn learned something important here. If you take that away from her, you'll lose the chance to save your own people. Explain, Zenth demanded. Jake took a deep breath. Dawn told me that your people are dying because you've lost your individuality. You've all become the same. But Dawn spent time with humans and started to feel things again. She started to become an individual. That's not contamination, that's healing. The council members were quiet for a long moment. You believe that exposure to humans could restore what we have lost? Corin asked. I think Dawn is proof that it could, Jake said. She came here as a scout, but she became a person again. She learned to care about things outside herself. She learned to love. Love is inefficient, Yila said. It causes beings to make poor decisions. Love is what makes life worth living, Jake said. Without it, you're just machines pretending to be alive. Zenth stood up suddenly. We will see this for ourselves. We will observe your town and your people. We will determine if what you call the flame is worth the risks your species presents. What risks? Jake asked. Humans are violent, Zenth said. You fight wars. You destroy your environment. You create weapons of mass destruction. A species with such destructive capabilities cannot be allowed to spread unchecked through the galaxy. But humans are also capable of great good, Jake said. Let me show you. Over the next 2 days, Jake took the Valari Council around Cedar Bay. Dawn came with them, translating and explaining human behavior. They visited the elementary school, where teacher Mary Johnson spent her own money to buy supplies for students whose families could not afford them. They watched her stay after school to help children who were struggling with their homework. This human gains no benefit from this extra work, Corin observed. She gains the satisfaction of helping children learn, Jake explained. That's valuable to her. They went to the animal shelter where volunteer Danny Parker spent every weekend feeding stray cats and dogs. Danny had been doing this for 5 years, even though he was allergic to cats and taking care of the animals made him sneeze and get watery eyes. This human is harming his own health to help creatures that cannot repay him, Yila noted. He does it because he thinks the animals deserve care, Jake said, even if it makes him uncomfortable. They visited the harbor where fishing boat captain Tony Chen had started using expensive nets that were safer for dolphins, even though the new nets caught fewer fish and made him less money. This human is reducing his own prosperity to protect animals he will never see again, Zenth observed. He does it because he knows it's right, Jake said. The council members watched Mrs. Betty Walsh bring soup to sick neighbors. They saw teenagers helping elderly people carry groceries. They observed strangers stopping to help when someone's car broke down. But the real test came on the 2nd day. The council members created one final emergency. They made it look like a gas leak was about to cause an explosion at the town's nursing home. Alarms went off, and evacuation orders were broadcast on the radio. Jake watched from across the street as the test began. The Valari wanted to see what would happen when people had to choose between running away and helping others. What happened amazed even Jake. People came running toward the nursing home, not away from it. Firefighters and police arrived first, but regular citizens came too. Shop owners closed their stores and came to help. Parents dropped their children off with neighbors and rushed to assist. Jake watched his neighbor Pete helping an elderly man in a wheelchair get to safety. He saw teenage girl Amy Parker guiding a confused woman with Alzheimer's disease away from the building. He saw dozens of people working together to make sure every resident of the nursing home was safe. "Why are they doing this?" Xanth asked, watching the humans work. "They could be hurt. They should flee." "Because those people in the nursing home can't save themselves," Jake said. "Someone has to help them, and humans don't leave people behind." The most amazing moment came when the evacuation was almost complete. There was one more resident inside, an old man who had refused to leave his room. The fake gas leak was getting worse, and the building was supposedly about to explode. Jake watched as firefighter Captain Lisa Brown ran back into the building. She could have waited for backup or specialized equipment, but she chose to risk her life to save one stubborn old man. "This makes no sense," Yila said. "One life is not worth risking another life." "Every life is worth risking another life," Jake said. "That's what makes us human." Captain Brown emerged from the building carrying the old man. The crowd cheered. People hugged each other and cried with relief. Everyone was safe. The Valari council members stood quietly for a long time, watching the humans celebrate. "The crisis was not real," Corin said finally, "but their actions were genuine." "Yes," Dawn said. "This is what I have been trying to show you. The flame is real. Humans really do care about each other." Xanth removed his mask. His face was pale and beautiful, but his eyes looked tired and empty. "We have been observing your species for days. We have seen hundreds of examples of this behavior. Humans consistently choose to help others, even when it costs them something." "And what have you decided?" Jake asked. Yila also removed her mask. "We have learned something we did not expect to learn. We came here thinking that logic and efficiency were